Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to more CSGO news, and well, this is going to be a particularly fun episode to do. Also on top of that, if you guys are in the mood to get angry today, well, this is the perfect episode for all of you. Under fire this morning in story number 1. As always, all of the stories will be linked down below, brought to us by many sources out there. I will link them all down below for you guys on top of that to read through. That's going to be the NoxFire League, a $70,000 league now in its second season, and like I said previously, now under fire for several accusations, match fixing, cheating, other things above all else as well. There's many prominent teams in this as well. Pro 100, 3D Max, Windigo. We also have, I guess, a slew of other teams out there. Some lower tier teams, of course, as well, spread throughout the league. But still, amongst those top teams out there, Vanguard included as well, those are not the teams that are actually being targeted for cheating or match fixing, although several teams out there have been accused throughout the entire league. Now, this is actually first started, I saw this from Werze. I'll link his Twitter down below as well. A few weeks ago, other pro players though in this league have been talking about this stuff for almost a month, and definitely about specifically one team out there, one known as Heavy Knockout. We're going to talk about them, but also we're going to wrap up this story by talking about Unicorns of Love and why I am very pissed off at unicorns this morning. Which, yes, I can't say very seriously, but you guys know what I mean when I say that I'm angry at unicorns. It actually first starts off by two pro players known as Holmes and Sereny. I apologize if I mispronounce Sereny's name, but these two guys have been posting cheating clips of this team known as Heavy Knockout for quite some time. Then we'll get into match fixing, then we'll finish off with Unicorns of Love and what they just seem to be doing over there. I have no clue right now. First of all, Holmes actually posting several videos out there. I will link his video down below on YouTube. You guys, if you want a good watch out there, it's a 15-minute video, all time-stamped. He time-stamped almost 20 occasions of very suspicious gameplay from Heavy Knockout throughout the entire match itself. It was very good, and throughout this, I'll show you guys a few clips as well. First of all, including odd timings of shooting through smokes, also random rotations, seemingly without any information on the map, or so we suppose. And again, this is information out there which might seem sketchy or might seem circumstantial, but there's so many clips out there. Also, more shooting through random walls at players who are actually behind the walls he was shooting through, and then pushing angles you would never push with the weapons they did choose. There was being an op, of course, him pushing some angles which you aggressively usually would not push with an op. So again, a lot of circumstantial evidence, but there's so many clips out there. Sereny also posting this clip on Twitter as well, which just adds to current suspicions out there all around Heavy Knockout. There have also been, besides these two pro players who play for the same team, so there's a bit of bias there, there are many pro players besides these two who have reported cheating allegations against this single team, and NoxFire, the entire league, has done nothing yet so far about it. And then we get into the Werze information, and why you guys might care about this is because it's towards the tail end of some growing teams out there, and definitely, yes, you could say lower tier teams, but they should never be allowed to get away with this kind of stuff. We don't want the iBuyPower scandal to be repeated, and yeah, it just seems very weird for this to be going on so actively and nothing to be done about this by supposed pro players or future well-known pro players. If they do continue to grow and rise through tiny leagues like this, it's obviously on the pathway somewhere there. It's actually Werze though also kind of pointing out very suspicious instances where the betting odds have changed, have been influxed, or of course heavily defluxed right before a match. That meaning, of course, a large bet has been placed, or a large amount of bets has been placed on a certain odd out there. He's shown many instances. I will link some tweets down below for all of you where just minutes before a match the odds drastically change, which is always a sign of suspicious betting going on. Now, besides that as well, we actually have a very large number of matches throughout NoxFire League either being separated by a large amount of mounts or a very small amount of rounds, which means it's also very suspicious as well when you have games going that are very widely gapped, because you can bet on the odds of the total rounds in a game being under or over a certain amount. So when games are very far apart or very close on several instances, it just seems very suspicious. Now, also, thanks to Werze, I'll link that Twitter down below for all of you guys. Very lastly, what I want to talk about most is what a CSGO team should never ever get away with, and certainly should be explained by the players or the organization. That being Unicorns of Love, a very viral clip out there right now, a team kill in a super crucial round. It's not an accidental team kill, very blatant and very obvious. It was actually on purpose with this clip right here. And this is the kind of stuff that actually gets me very angry. First of all, when Unicorns of Love first entered the CSGO scene with this German roster, they only signed these guys because they are a German organization in search of a German roster, and they were lucky enough, these guys that being, to be signed to a pretty prominent organization around the world. I guess, kind of fallen off in these last few years, but, previously known for the League of Legends roster, a well-known name, a prominent organization around the world, and this is what they do with it. And I'm just going to say blatantly out here, I think it was so obvious. I'm not trying to have accusations out there about what this team was doing. They did end up losing that game. They threw that round. They lost that round, and of course a team kill in a crucial round being they lose that game 16-14. Obviously, if they win that round, that game comes out a bit different. And like I said before, a very close game. Ending 16-14 seems very suspicious, although it was a very close game no matter what. Who knows what other times during the game they actually were, throwing rounds a little bit more subtly besides that team kill. So for me, the overall thing is you are lucky enough to be signed by a prominent organization. I would love an explanation before I fully accuse this team of match fixing or throwing the match. I would love for a player or an organization representative to come forward and say, why was that round not further looked at? Why do you kill your player on purpose? Because we see time and time again, maybe an accidental knife at spawn, maybe shoot them once or twice, they get in the way of an enemy, but this was so blatantly obvious, it deserves an explanation, or this organization consider going further with this current roster. And maybe I'm taking this too seriously. You guys can leave a comment down below what you want to be seen done, but I would love an explanation as to why that's actually allowed to be get away with. Any other roster out there, especially in top tier CS, if that happens and they end up losing the game, there's going to be a severe amount of backlash. You should not get away with that just because you're a smaller team participating in a smaller league. That is just a sign to me that does not look very good for that roster. And also, in some happier news out there, some crazier news out there, NiP changed their roster for the time being, and it's going to hurt another team out there, but it will be Draken joining the roster for Dennis. He's actually had a lack of energy as well as had a severe amount of fatigue lately because their schedule, as most CSGO teams out there, has been very prevalent with many matches. Unfortunately enough, Dennis will be stepping away for the time being. While he recovers, a temporary stand-in will be the return of Draken to the roster. Huge congrats to him. I think he definitely suffered his consequences going down to Red Reserve. That roster is now disbanded, and he has still been a rising player out there, and he certainly was the best player of the team he was playing with for the time being, that being Scream's mixed lineup. So that lineup's definitely going to be hurt with the absence of Draken while he stands in for NiP, which is definitely kind of it sucks because everyone was kind of hyped up about the new Scream roster, HS and Hampus along with Scream, and you also have Draken, a couple other guys out there, but Draken, certainly based off their results as of that roster, Draken was probably their most consistent, I would say arguably their best player as well. A huge hit to that mixed team. Now you also have Scream, who has a wrist injury. He's coming off of that. HS is getting swole, so good for him, but I'm not really sure where this roster will go without Draken being a prominent figure on there, and it certainly depends how long he stays with NiP, right? We're only technically a few months, I guess multiple months, but we're still pretty close to another CSGO major, and this prac time is very important for this roster. So if they lose Draken for 3 to 4 months, they likely lose him for the major as well, and that's just it's just sad to see. But also on top of that, other new rosters out there potentially being signed sometime soon. We knew the fall of LDLC throughout late 2018 was a pretty drastic fall. It was very, very sad to see a 1 point that for about 5 to 6 days they were the best French team in my opinion, and some of your opinions. Some of you guys out there are probably saying, Jake, you're an idiot. I can agree with that as well. LDLC apparently returning with this roster currently on screen. They've been playing on servers, been playing a few scrims / matches lately, and it would make a lot of sense. I think 4 of the 5 of these players, if not all of them, have actually played for LDLC at some point in the past. And I'm not too sure about this roster. We've had definitely a lot of questionable games and a lot of questionable circumstances around a lot of these players. XMS being one of them. He actually had quit CSGO for the time being for Battle Royales. He is now back. Sixer, you guys tend to apparently hate the guy, but he at one point actually showed some potential, then had a pretty big fall off as well, I believe with his time with Envious. So a definite questionable roster. I would say comparable to Scream's mixed roster if they had Draken, but LDLC might be back on the map with a full roster finally after 3 to 4 months just not fielding anybody. And then very lastly for CSGO news, I hope to see you guys back here tomorrow with some official signings, but we do still have teasers. Yes, you guys are not surprised. Mousesports is still teasing the signing of Kerrigan. If that's going to happen right now, I have no clue, because then you have ChrisJ, saying on Instagram as well as Twitter he has a big announcement, obviously hinting at maybe signing with Big, but at this point I wouldn't be surprised if Mousesports just re-signs him, and he just, because it seems a bit too obvious, right? Mousesports tweeted tweeting out now 3 or 4 pictures of Kerrigan, and then we have ChrisJ, formerly of Mousesports, potentially to be re-signed if he does so choose, just saying big. It seems too obvious for it to be true. At this point, I just don't even know what to believe and what not to believe, but it could be Kerrigan alongside ChrisJ signing with the team sometime soon, and we will see which teams they do sign for. As of course, many of us probably agree they probably will not sign to the same team, but one of them likely will sign to Mousesports. As always, hope you guys all enjoy. My name is Jake. Feel free to leave a comment down below. If you're pissed off at unicorns, please leave a comment. I would love to reply to you guys down below. But as always, I will see you back here hopefully tomorrow. Until then, take care.